Welcome to this previous project's video on my 1991 Toyota Supra Auto with a gearbox controller. I bought the car cheap as an MOT failure. It was a bit smoky, so I changed the valve stem seals, putting a bit of nylon rope in the cylinder, squeezing that up against the valves with the piston, and then you can release the valve springs so you can do a valve stem seal job with the engine, with the head still on the engine basically. A major suspension overhaul, the wishbones off and things like that. Poly bushes in there and new cam bolts, as you can see here, at great cost. I then put a test pipe on it, so it made a little bit of noise, as you can hear here. And then lastly for the MOT, it was a big brake overhaul, new lines, stainless steel braided brake lines, they were pretty nice. Drilled and vented grooves, which make a lovely noise actually when you're braking hard. They make quite a sort of noise. So that was it. Drove it like that for a bit, enjoyed it. Of course, it is only a 4-speed auto. It ain't very fast. As you can see here, we're testing the 0 to 60 time, and I was not very impressed.
Going now.
Bingo.
9.
That's nice and slow, isn't it? Bloody hell. In a sort of an attempt to fix that, take control of the gears, let the engine rev further before it changes gear, and have control of the torque converter lockup, I fitted something called the SSV4, the Suprastick version 4. It's a product from America. It's a little computer module thing which takes control of the gears, so you can have your own shift maps on there, and you can also manually shift it with a little sequential changer, so you can put flappy paddles on there, or you can use the cruise control buttons on the steering wheel, or whatever you wish. Stick it in drive as usual, and it'll pull away in first. You see that it won't change gear, it'll just stay there. You can click it backwards. Now we're in second, third, and fourth. So here I am, I'm installing that. The actual computer, here it is, goes below, I put it below the radio. It's like a double DIN slot, so there's a bit of room for the computer in there. I took the indicator switch from a Vauxhall something, Astra or whatever it was. The right-left indicator I modified so that it wouldn't stay on. It was only a momentary switch. And that was going to be my gear up and gear down. And then the headlights, I kept all of that as well. So the dip and the main beam was torque converter lockup and torque converter not locked up. And then the flash, which is to pull the light switch the other way to flash your headlights, that was going to be the momentary torque converter disconnect. So it was quite a cool little controller really. I sat it right behind the gear stick, as you can see here. I made a little a panel of switches to go in there below the radio, behind a flap, so it was all hidden away. I didn't need the aerial going up and down every time, so I had a little override switch to stop the automatic aerial going up and down. You can see then I did have plans to put nitrous oxide in it. So there's a nitrous oxide and a petrol purge button. It has 2 maps, so you can switch between let's say an economy map and a performance map, so I put map 1 and map 2 switches in there, and then of course manual and auto, so it can shift itself or you can shift it. And then finally I put an override switch to switch it off completely, and you can see here I fitted 3 relays so that I could keep the original Toyota computer controlling the gearbox if I wished. By switching the SSV4 off, those relays would reconnect the Toyota gearbox controller, and it would be a completely standard again. A traditional auto uses a torque converter, and there's great losses, and for a steady speed, when you put your foot down, you can see the RPM rise as it pushes against the torque converter. Torque converter lockup it's like a clutch basically, in addition to the torque converter. So once it's locked, the torque converter is doing nothing, and it's essentially like a manual gearbox. The input shaft is stuck at engine speed. So that facility gives the car more fuel efficiency, and of course slightly better acceleration in the higher revs, because you're not making so many losses, you know. Away from the line, you do want the torque converter because it amplifies torque. So yes, I fitted that switch. There's a little video here of how that operates. Okay, we're in 4th gear now, just going on a hill slowly. And I'm demonstrating, I've got my foot down now, and then I'm off the gas. So the RPM's staying the same, and the engine's now holding us down the hill. But the idea of fitting this switch is that I can disengage that now. So you see the revs drop when I flick it off. And you can see now that the revs can flow up and down. So we're just using the torque converter, and then when I flick it back, it locks up, and then we're back like a manual clutch again, you see. I've also built it so that you can push it just to the right to disengage it momentarily, and then let go again. And then we've got forward and backwards as the gear change, like you'd imagine. So that's changed down to 3rd, and 2nd. Oh, that is 2nd, got it. So yeah, that's 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th. That was it for this car. I enjoyed it for a while. It did burn an awful lot of fuel. It's the second of the 2 cars I should never have got rid of. was in fantastic condition, the bodywork wise. I think actually the piston rings were probably on their way because it was still a little bit smoky. But yeah, a beautiful thing, but not quick. The Suprastick gearbox controller was a lot of fun to do, and it was good fun to drive the car like that too. But essentially, of course, it couldn't change those gear ratios. So long gear ratios meant big drops in RPM between gear changes, and yeah, quite a revvy engine. Didn't make a lot of torque low down, you know. So it didn't, for as far as I was concerned, it didn't really suit the cars. It was a weighty GT car, you know, heavy car really. I feel like it needed quite a bit more grunt low down in the RPM, and a few closer gears really. I'm not complaining whether it was an auto or a manual, but those 4 gears were very widely spaced. So I ended up selling it, and that was the second of the 2 cars I should never have sold. That's it for now. That's my Supra with Suprastick version 4 gearbox controller. I hope you enjoyed the little video. Tune in for more.